Hi, fifth graders, it's Miss Ferguson here. I am working on day 3 this week. It should be Wednesday, June 3rd. And we are working on that standard NF.6. I know that NF means fractions, and we're working on multiplication and division. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 says, at Sequoia Middle School, 1/2 of the students are involved in after-school activities. Of the students involved, 1/4 of them play sports. What fraction of students involved in after-school activities at Sequoia Middle School play a sport? Show your work and simplify your answer. So some of the things that I'm looking at is that 1/2 of all students are involved in after-school activities. Of the students involved, 1/4 of them play sport. What fraction of students involved in after-school activities at Sequoia Middle School play a sport? So I want you to go think back to what we talked about with fractions when it says a fraction of another fraction. What is that asking us to do? Do you remember what operation that means? Well, I know I'm finding 1/4 of 1/2 here. So now I have to figure out, what do I need to do? Well, I know I need to multiply. Of means times. When I'm multiplying, I multiply straight across. So remember, in multiplication and division, I do not need to have a common denominator. I just need to multiply straight across. So I'm going to rewrite this so that it makes more sense. And I'm going to go, so 1/4 times 1/2. 1 times 1 equals 1. 4 times 2 equals 8. So in this case, my answer is already in the simplest form. 1/8 of the middle schoolers that are involved in an after-school activity play a sport. Number 2, John went to the candy store and bought 2 pounds of candy. If 1/4 of John's candy was sour, how many pounds of sour candy did John buy? Show your work and simplify your answer. So once again, I'm finding that fraction there. So I have 2 pounds, I'm finding 1/4 of 2. So I know in this case I can make any whole number into a fraction to make it a little easier for me by just adding 1. And it says of, and I know if I'm finding 1/4 of 2 that I am just multiplying. So that of becomes a multiplication problem. Once again, we're multiplying straight across. 1 times 2 equals 2. 4 times 1 equals 4. So 2/4 of that pound of those candy, of all of his candy, is sour. I can indeed simplify this one. I know that 2 goes into 2 and 2 goes into 4. It goes into 2 one time and 4 twice. So 1/2 of a pound is sour. Okay, and then we have number 3. Mr. Miyagi will cut 3 identical pizzas into fourths. So, part A, after he cuts the pizza, how many pieces will he have? Justify your work. So justify your work just means show your work. So I have 3 identical pizzas into fourths. I like to write notes on mine, so fourths. After he cuts the 3 pieces, how many will he have? I can do this in lots of different ways, guys. I can draw pictures. There's my 3 pizzas. Cuts them into fourths. I have 4, 8, 12 pieces. Part B. 2/3 of the slices are pepperoni and the rest are cheese. How many pieces of pizza are pepperoni and how many are cheese? Justify your work or show your work. Okay, so I have 12 pieces total, and 2/3 of those 12 pieces are pepperoni. So I have 2/3 of 12. Okay, so once again, I remember that of just means multiplication. And then I can turn this into a whole number, this whole number into a fraction. 12 times 2 equals 24. 3 times 1 equals 3. Okay. 24/3 would technically be correct, guys, because in 5th grade, we do not have to simplify our fractions. We can leave it in improper fraction form. However, I don't really know what 24/3 of the pizzas are. Is just off the top of my head. That doesn't really make sense to me if I'm actually dealing with pizza. And so I want to make it easier for myself. How many times does 3 go into 24? Goes in there 8 times. So 24/3 equals 8. So out of those pieces of pepperoni, those 12, 8 are pepperoni. And then the rest, 8 plus what equals 12 is how we would figure that out. And I know that 8 plus 4. So it appears to me that these two are pepperoni and this one is cheese. So 4 pieces of cheese pizza. All right, and that is it for today. Please contact your teacher or me if you have any questions. Get on office hours. We love to help you with this, guys.